Hey everybody, today we're going to be taking a look at modifying and placing this medieval town square alternate build. It's a modular building known as the Hardware and Grocer. One of the first things you have to do is part out the medieval town square, which consists of 3,304 pieces. So dump out all the parts, throw away the instructions. No, I'm just kidding, don't do that. But then sort all your parts by color. No, I wouldn't suggest doing that either. I would always sort them by part type, just like we do here. So we've got like the vegetation, other miscellaneous tree and plant parts there, cylinders, windows. Oh, look at all those awesome windows in like dark green and red and reddish brown. Got 1x1s, 1x2s, slopes over here in reddish brown and also in gray, arches, corner bricks, corner plates and other corner elements, 1x plate, 2x plate, larger plate, along with the odd shape stuff, 1x brick, well, just all the brick actually, there's some 2x in there as well. Then we've got tiles, small 1x1 elements, connector pieces, snot bricks or modified bricks with forward-facing studs, jumpers, the interesting like roof slopes. Ooh, those are so nice. This is just such a great parts pack. This set is incredible. Look at all the minifigure elements in there. Also the dark gray goat. There's just so many great pieces in this set. If you can find it at the right price, it's definitely worth getting just for all of the amazing parts that it has. But yeah, we've got them all parted out and sorted by part type. And the next thing we need to do is head over to rebrickable.com where you can find Brick Artisan's page. He's created a whole bunch of different stuff, but this is the one that we're building here today. You have to pay for the instructions, and after you download them, you open up the PDF and you follow along just like LEGO instructions. After you're done constructing this model, you're left over with 143 parts from 3,304, so the shrinkage really isn't that bad. And of course, you get all your minifigures right over here, and an 8x16 dark gray plate, along with some other miscellaneous items like slopes, arches, bricks and plates, connectors, etc. But barely any shrinkage, which is always good when you're constructing an alternate model. I think the exterior of the build looks great. We've got the grocer on the left here. It has the nice awning built with those modified plates with the claws in various colors. We've got a bunch of those in the set. And Brick Artisan actually used them all, which is pretty cool. We've got them in dark brown, nougat, dark tan, and tan. And the grocery store on the left here, it has a little stand out front, so it's actually open. So there's a little bit of like a service there, like a service window, I guess, beside the door. Little flag element with the logo to the right of that door. And I like the way that the walls were constructed here. This is all like sideways built here. So these are modified bricks with the forward-facing studs and the studs on the side. And then you put the large plates there along with the 1x2 bricks and the tiles. And then they all sort of slot into place to create the wall, which gives it a really interesting texture. And it's the same thing down here as well. So you can see the brick that's making contact, and there's actually tiles on either side. So some super interesting techniques were used to create the sidewalls and also the framing for the window as well. So this is all bricks on its side technique there. There are some colors that we do plan on swapping out. Like I was mentioning at the beginning of this video, we're going to make some improvements to the build. For example, this black line here, which is mainly the modified plates, the 1x4s with the 2 studs, probably going to switch that out to like dark tan, nougat, just so it better matches the roof. But this can actually be removed because it's a small section of the roof. But we're going to actually replace that just because there's too many points of attachment and the colors don't really match up. But Brick Artisan didn't introduce any new elements in this set other than the base plates, so you got to expect some things to be like that. The back side is the same. Looks really nice. We got the plate built door here, and then some decorations like the goat and some vegetation and stuff. His design calls for a green base plate, but we mill-splated ours using 16x16 light gray plates. And we plan on tiling this all off because it's most likely going to go in the city. But if it was on green, this would all be green grass out front and also green around the back there, so it would make sense with that goat. And in olive green and reddish brown on the right here, oh, such a good color combination. We have the hardware store, I like the decorative roof there with the fancy bricks and inverted slopes and some arches, and just the way it's framed. It looks really nice, just sort of decorated properly, I would say. Then down here we've got the entrance to the hardware store, and there's also a little white and blue awning going over top of the hardware store window, which is like a little service counter as well. You've got the shield element there, and also another decoration over the front window, which has arches on either side. There is a small gap there because there's some slopes within, but I don't know, I think it adds a nice texture to the build and looks good. I think this model in general is just very presentable. The sidewalls of the hardware store are just brick built with some masonries mixed in, and also some of these like palisade bricks and cylinders to add some texture in between the panels that you install. Some windows on the back there, nothing too crazy, but there is a nice interior for both of these builds. And the hardware store and grocer actually share an interior, so there's no separation wall on the ground floor here. Got a bunch of colors to tile it off there, plates and tiles, and just a bunch of interior details. There's like a bunch of cutlery, there's a large turkey there, shelves full of cheese, you've got some honey on the counter, also some pies, and just all sorts of miscellaneous stuff, maybe some like turnips in the center there, I believe. And then in the hardware store, there is a keg and a bunch of tools on the back wall there. Nothing too crazy in the interior, but this is a medieval set, so it's hard to make a modern day interior using medieval parts, right? But I think it gets the job done, sort of reallocates a bunch of the tools and weapons and everything that you would find throughout the original medieval set, and combines it into a grocery store and a hardware store. So at least there's an interior. I think that works out. And on the right side here, we've got a staircase which will lead up to the second floor. That will pop up right here. And this has a call out to the origin of the set as well. There's like a art room, I would say. It's where they're making tapestries and also painting shields. So you've got all sorts of supplies all over the place, also easels. And over here they are making a big tapestry. And this is actually two separate modules. So this one with the like shield painting supplies there will pop on top like so. And then this one here conjoins with it, as there's the large arch there, and it's actually set back a few studs like that. So yeah, when you place those two modules side by side, there's about a 3 stud difference there. So we've got some depth within the facade of the model, which is nice. We can head up the stairs to the next floor. The stairs are just built with 2x2 inverted slopes in reddish brown, nothing too crazy. And the next floor is actually a bedroom. So we've got a bed, also a chessboard right there with 2 places to sit. And then there is a fireplace, and the fireplace can actually hinge open just like that. And that's going to give you access to the attic, which sits next to it. Also, you'll notice that this attic and portion of roof is actually built on a 16 by 16 green plate, and there's some odd shaped green plates. You're going to see that there's the green plate exposed on the side of the build right there. So I want to swap those out because I want the green plate for our inventory, and I don't want this green line to be visible right there. So I think we're going to swap that out. I think it makes sense. But I like this. We've got the little secret passageway right there leading into the attic. Nothing crazy in the attic, just a barrel, flag, and also a helmet. And then we have our 2 different roof sections built with a bunch of plate and more of those modified plates with the claw elements that we originally saw on the Porg, I think. Like that, we can see that black line just doesn't look too good, and also the amount of attachment is just far too much, but I get it, using the parts from the set once again. And then our final roof goes on over here. And there you go. We've got a medieval stylized modular building. We also get this little mini build off to the side here, which used a bunch of the leftover parts to create a nice little tree, and also a little wagon with a crab and the pitchfork. I will most likely just be parting this out using these parts to create something different, but I appreciate the fact that Brick Artisan strive to use as many of the parts as possible. Here's a pretty big pile of parts that have all been removed from the model and swapped out. The addition of the tiles really helps. We added some ingots around the entrances and below the little shop windows. And then we did 2x2 light gray to match the city, and we kept this little bench. We needed to keep the goat, so we decided to give it some grass with some of those odd-shaped plates from the roof, and also 5 additional studs. And that gives us space for the little trees, the beehive, the squirrel, the goat, and it sort of matches the feel of the vines creeping up the back of the building there, and also the tree that's built into the foundation. We removed a bunch of the light gray brick on the side of the roof here, and we replaced it with reddish brown palisade. I feel like that just matches up a lot better. We also replaced some of the points of attachment there, that being the modified 1x4s, with some tiles, just because there was too many points of attachment. We may as well add those to our inventory there. Did the same thing over here, and then the best change, I think, was done to this section. Got rid of that big green plate, and also the green reinforcing plates on the bottom. Swapped it up with dark tan, which better matches the roof and just the color scheme of this building. And then we removed those modified 1x4 black plates with the 2 studs. Just call them jumpers. We swapped those out with dark tan and nougat tiles, and now that better matches up with the roof, and we still have the ability to remove the top section. Another thing that we tested was actually replacing the white grills there with black, but white actually looked better, and we don't have tan or gold. So black was our only option, but we tested it, and I don't think it looks as good. So we're going to stick with the tan and white shutters and grills there. It's pretty impressive that this used to be this. 2 completely different things. This one's more of like a free-floating set that can go in a landscape in a medieval scene, and this one is one that can actually integrate into a LEGO city quite nicely. And that's what we're going to take care of next. Uh-oh, the city's looking pretty jam-packed right now, though. Where are we going to put it? Believe it or not, there's actually a pretty simple solution, and I think it's going to work out quite well. The first thing I need to do is take my custom LEGO store, which is right behind the bowling alley, and flip it the other way. And of course, there was an open spot behind the LEGO store, so when I flipped it around, the open spot is now on Central Park. And I just feel like the Tudor corner sort of has like a medieval style to it, specifically the dark red roof and the white and black section up top there. So maybe this new modular building is going to look pretty good beside it. I think it looks good there. Something new, something a little bit different, right? Beside the Tudor corner, right by Central Park. And you know, when we look at the city, that was the only spot open for a modular building other than one right behind Galactus there, but we have a special project in mind for that. But in like the main downtown core here, that was the only spot that was open. And in order to continue adding more modular buildings to the downtown core, we need to shift things around, get rid of some stuff, or just continue expanding over here, which is the plan. Because we've got a bunch of space over here, which is just on reserve for future expansion. But I don't want to start placing modular buildings over here just because they'll look sort of weird, because it's not developed whatsoever. Whereas this area over here is actually already looking pretty awesome. There's still a few tweaks and a few things that we need to work on though. I did place the Arkham Asylum here, and there has still been a lot of uproar about this, and some people don't want it to be placed here, which I understand. It could go somewhere else on its own, such as in this area over here, or on the island where you would actually find a loony bin or an Arkham Asylum. But the island right now is just sort of empty, so I don't really want to just place a lone Arkham Asylum over here. So this is other space that we have on reserve for future expansion as well. So there's still lots of space here in the studio for more LEGO City buildings. So I look forward to it. Everybody, I hope you enjoyed this review and placement of this awesome alternate build. Thank you so much, Brick Artisan. The instructions were perfect. You can find a link to those in the description below. Thank you so much for coming on by. Please remember to like, subscribe, and stay tuned. Farewell.